They basically say that
Media and money.
everybody else needs to be paid as well.
Well, yes. Firstly, I want to please, like, when you think of journalists, why must you think of people with jholas, and why must we be poor?
Yeah.
Why? We all have to earn a living, yaar. It's okay. It's not a crime to want to have a good salary, to make a decent living. And I mean, it's good if journalists are paid well. They should be paid well.
Yeah.
You know, I had this argument with yesterday only with someone who said, why do journalists want the good life? I said, Arey bhai, why not? Who doesn't want the good life? It's fine. I mean, it's not some Mahatma Gandhi type sacrifice that you must make. No, you must think independently. You must be fair in what you do a good job, and yes, get paid for it also, yaar. Theek hai. So this thing, making money is not the issue.
Yeah.
You know, it's a question of what you're doing in order to make that money.
Absolutely.
Are you selling hate for profit? Right? Which is what a large section of almost all of TV media is doing today.
Right.
It is selling hate for profit.
Right.
I am proud that at least NDTV as an organization is the complete opposite, where we have stayed away from that model.
Right.
It's not in our DNA to do it. हमारी बस की बात भी नहीं है. करने की कोशिश भी करते तो we would have failed.
बस की बात
नहीं है, because it's not something that we are tuned to do.
Okay.
Our instinctive reaction to an akhlaq lynching will be to go after those who lynched him, not to
Right.
justify or to say that he had meat in his fridge, which was
Right.
what the others were doing.
Right.
There's no if and but.
Right.
So
So there is that clarity that you know who to go after. Go after is a heavy term.
Yeah.
Like who to question.
correct.
Right. That
is what journalists should do.
Yeah.
And so making money from journalism or paying people well, why not? They should. I think, across the board, the industry needs to wake up and pay journalists better. Because journalism is not an easy job. And why should it be shitty pay?
Yeah. And now there is considerable risk attached to it also.
In every way.
Yeah.
Look, it's always been a tough job. You're working pretty much 24 hours a day. You're always on call. You can be called to do a story in the middle of the night. I can tell you countless examples where I've been pulled out of bed at 1 a.m, 3 a.m. Ye hua hai, this one has been killed, some bomb blast, some train accident, some natural disaster. You are doing all that stuff. You are often skipping meals. You are traveling for days on end. Your camera team that doesn't get credit on the screen. I agree with this bit, that the civics chapter, it talks about the fact that, you have people who are doing the lights, the recordings, that, the producers, they don't get the on-air credit also.
Right.
And they should be paid well because it's a damn tough job.
Yeah.
Reporters have a damn tough job. या सुबह तुमको बोलते हैं कि आज वो अरविंद केजरीवाल धरना कर रहा है, दिन में आपको बोलेंगे कि farmers have come to Singhu border, जाओ जी. So it's and then they'll say शाम तक cyclone आ गया, चले जाओ जी उड़ीसा.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's a reporter's life is really tough.
Wild.
It's very interesting also because during the pandemic this became so obvious also, right? Because so in my newsroom, like in News Laundry for example, there were obviously reporters who were going out still when the first wave was happening, and it was dangerous, right? They were sent to hospitals where actually victims are coming. There is COVID there and people were reporting from it. Faye D'Souza actually went into AIIMS and did that whole PPE suit. 2 days she spent there and she reported from there. That's freakishly dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And
so pay people. It's fine to pay people.
Yeah,
There's nothing
and
wrong with
even-
media making money.
Even for example, when the farmers' protest was happening, right? Now, in the farmers' protest, again, no vaccine had come out by that time. I had gone there and I was wearing masks. Our producer and everybody was wearing. Nobody else is wearing masks, right? Immediately dangerous for me, right? West Bengal elections, same thing. Giant rally, go inside there with masks and like sweating like crazy, but nobody's wearing masks. So again, it's like your parents are constantly calling you and saying कि तुझे तो COVID होने ही वाला है. Unfortunately or fortunately, it didn't happen. But I mean, in the pandemic, it became so obvious that reporters are going out, risking their lives, literally, while everybody else is dying. And they are doing their jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why shouldn't they be paid for it?
By the way, about masks, I don't think masks are required. I got a WhatsApp forward which said that like it's just a hoax.
Oh,
Vaccine.
Acha, of course. Then it must be true.
It
Then
must be true. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. One question I want to come to quickly is, should news be seen as a business? Right? Because in order to get paid more for the journalists, there needs to be money that is coming into the organization, and that money will come from advertisers and maybe advertorials from different governments, which your channel also does. Every channel does it. Like Delhi government will do like a half-an-hour slot with like कोई तो भी पूजा कर रहे तो उसका half-an-hour slot live कर दिया, या फिर हो रहा है वो, मतलब आंध्र प्रदेश की गवर्नमेंट भी कर रही है, सब तेलंगाना, एवरीवन
पूजा वगैरह कर रहे हैं मतलब.
हाँ जी, हाँ, हवन live telecast. But I'll tell you something. Look, the revenue model is crap, right? It's not the ideal way of making money. It's I mean, TV channels, anyone in the media should make money. In an ideal world, this should not be the way you have to do it, right? In an ideal world, subscribers should be paying for news, and that should be driving everything. But that's not the way the world is.
It's not, unfortunately.
It's not, right? So in this imperfect world we live in, with corporatization and everything else, as long as there is the space, if there is the space, to be able to be independent and not have editorial interference, then I think you're still okay.
Yeah.
It's when there is editorial interference, or, you are asked to toe a certain line, which then it becomes, then it's problematic.
Absolutely.
And it's not something that's unique to India. I mean, everyone's been talking about the Washington Post and Bezos, and there are so many other examples in the US, etc., where you have corporate ownership of media. But ultimately, so that's not the issue, I think, anymore, because it is imperfect. It's really a question of independence editorially.
Yeah, but that's what, right? So I mean, as a subscription, so I think news has always been free for us, so we don't really see it as a product worth paying for. Like if I put it super crudely.
Yeah, you've worked in a place which drives itself only on subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
So how has that worked?
So I would say that the model is
it's noble.
It's noble, yes. It's also solid in places, but it's also in flux. Right, so like there would be good months, it's very erratic. Not even like understatement bhi nahi hai ki it's very erratic, right? So, and it almost feels like sometimes when like the MSM, mainstream media, ad-funded media is not doing a story and you end up doing a story which becomes big, then you get like a flux of subscribers, right? But that is so random. It can't be a business model, right?
So that's the thing. Now when you have an organization that has to pay, let's say, 2,000 people, and how does it sustain itself? I think if you make clear, for example, that if you have an advertorial, say from a state government, and you make it clear, right, constantly that this is an ad. Like, you have to have that disclaimer in place. Again, I say it's not ideal.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. And one is not like thrilled about it.
Yeah.
But one is also living in realistic times where we have to find a way to be able to pay people's salaries.
Right.
Without compromising our integrity.
Right.
So I think a lot of people who are sanctimonious about all these things, let them be happy in their sermonizing. But the real world is very different.
Right.
One interesting way to also look at like the subscription model, which I've been thinking about as well, was, for example, they can expand and collapse very quickly. But keeping people on payroll is a problem then. Right, where you won't be able to give incentives, you won't be able to offer any sort of.
And that's not easy. That's not an easy choice for everyone.
It's not.
It's very nice to say, walk away into the sunset. Why? I also don't like those who lecture, young reporters, let's say at Republic or something, and force them to take some moral position. You don't know that person's circumstances. Maybe this person needs this job.
Yeah.
And can't do without it. They're the breadwinner of their family.
Yeah.
Don't judge people.
Yeah.
And yes, if someone can walk away, sure, that's their choice. But this whole judgment about all these things, it's very irritating.
It's very, it can be annoying. And I feel like that you're absolutely correct there. It's like, I have been in places where I didn't want to be in that job, but I had to because I had to fucking pay the rent, man.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the point.
Right. I have worked with corrupt politicians because he was giving me a salary like every month, at least salary, paisa to aa raha hai mere paas. So for like those,
and you're not
6-7 months.
You're not doing anything wrong. So
exactly,
you're still trying to make an honest day's living out of it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, exactly. I agree.
And I mean, of course, I completely agree with you that the young people shouldn't be judged. I've asked this question to many journalists, and I will ask this to you. If a young person comes to you today Would you recommend that they become a journalist?
I would, because I still I have a intrinsically deep passion for journalism as a. For me, it's not just a job. I think it's a way. It's your life. I would only advise them to do it though if they're ready to give up the rest of like a lot of comforts. Like it's not an easy job. It's not an easy profession, but it's something that can be so rewarding if it's done right. And I think it needs good people. It can be rewarding because it's not just about investigative journalism, but you wake up in the morning not knowing what the story is going to be today.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. You don't know what people you'll meet, and it opens your eyes. It should hopefully open your mind.
Absolutely.
Not if you do it the Godi media way. Not that way, because that's not media. So I'm just saying if it's done the right way, I tell young people that I talk to that if you're passionate about news, you're passionate about things that are happening in the country, please become a journalist, because journalism needs good people.
Right.
And I would still encourage them to do it, because the only way we're going to change this is if good people come into the system and question it and push back and say that we need to reclaim what the media used to be.
Yeah.